And joining me now, Bill Kristol, editor of the Weekly Standard, ABC News contributor. Hello, sir.
How are you, Steve?
I'm doing well. Well, it was quite an eventful weekend. Let me ask you straight out, who's to blame for what we saw at the canceled event and the man, the Sanders supporter, the professional protester, rushing the stage?
Well, if the protesters shut down an event, the protesters are to blame. We shouldn't, equivocate on that. And that's not free speech. That's depriving a candidate of free speech. I also am happy to blame Donald Trump for some of his rhetoric, which I do think has been incendiary and irresponsible. That's a separate issue. It just doesn't justify the protesters shutting down a presidential rally.
So how do you feel about just about every presidential candidate on the Republican side, forget the Democrats, blaming Trump? I mean, we had 2 injured cops. I didn't hear any one of them say anything about the injured cops, the one who got hit by a bottle. I mean, they make it sound like Trump threw it out of his limousine window.
I mean, believe me, I'm always happy to blame Trump for many things, and I do think he has generally contributed to a coursing of American politics, and certainly from a conservative point of view of a denigration or a lessening of the conservative message. But that's different. In this particular event, I agree the protesters were to blame, and they should be blamed first and foremost. That doesn't mean it's not legitimate for other candidates to raise questions about the tone of Trump's campaign and particular statements he's made. So, but I do think if you step back from the whole thing, it's not good. I mean, we are looking more and more like a banana republic, and sort of mobs, rallies where a presidential candidate uses, I would say, inappropriate rhetoric. But then, on the other hand, actual demonstrators shutting down an event, which I agree is a very different thing. It's a different thing altogether.
Rubio says now, after taking the pledge or reiterating at the last debate or the debate before, that he would support the Republican nominee. Now he says he might not support Trump. Mike Huckabee told Newsmax TV, we all need to support Trump if he's the nominee. Who do you go with?
I'm more with Rubio, but I'm not so sure I can support Trump. I think that pledge was always foolish, and people should do what they think is right. I think there's too much invocations of loyalty on both sides. The establishment people have no right to say to someone who's disillusioned, oh, you have to vote for a Republican. That's ridiculous. And the Trump people don't have any particular claim to say to someone who thinks he wouldn't be a good president, oh, you have to vote for him. Now, it's one thing if you're an elected official. It's a little different, obviously. Then you're part of a party organization in a sense. You have probably a higher bar to hurdle to clear and not supporting someone. But, for people like you and me and people just out there in the country and citizens, I think people need to make an honest assessment of what's best for the country. And look, that probably would depend on if there's someone else on the ballot. Are you looking at a close race between Trump and Hillary? What kind of race does Trump run? Who's his vice president? I mean, it would be a perfectly legitimate thing, it seems to be, for someone from a Joe ordinary citizen all the way up to a Marco Rubio, a presidential candidate, to say, you know what? I'm not going to tell you right now on March 14th what I'm going to do in November. I want to see what these candidates have to say and how they conduct themselves.
Well, we know who the Supreme Court nominees would be with the Hillary Clinton, and that would be the end of the country as we know it.
It would be very bad. We don't know who the court nominees would be with Trump. I don't think Trump, in fact, has much of a chance to beat Hillary Clinton personally, so that's one reason I'm so averse to voting for Trump in the primary, is that I think it gives Hillary Clinton a huge leg up in what is a very, very important election in the general election.
Okay, let me ask you, if Kasich wins Ohio, doesn't that just divide the votes even more and help Trump?
No, I think if Kasich wins Ohio, then assuming Trump wins Florida, looks like he's going to do that. They kind of split with Cruz, some in Illinois and Missouri. It looks like the race chugs along at about where it is, which is Trump doing very well at around 45% of the delegates. Not 50, though. Maybe 35, 36% of the popular vote. We then go to Arizona, an important winner-take-all, Wisconsin after that. I don't think, unless Trump sweeps everything tomorrow night, or unless, very surprisingly, he has a huge setback tomorrow night, I don't think the thing gets resolved one way or the other tomorrow night.
All right, Bill, we'll watch it closely, and thank you as always, for coming on with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Bill Kristol, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to come back, and we're going to take your calls. Look forward to it at 877-NEWSMAX, 877-639-7629. Give me a call.